Rather than following a now formulaic approach to open-world gameplay, the newest title from Rockstar Games turns the current open-world meta on its head, creating one of the best gameplay experiences of 2018. There are some minor spoilers in this video, but we've tried to avoid anything that gives away main plot points or big reveals. The story is great too, but we'll mostly discuss why the mechanics of Red Dead 2 make it so good. Now, I love me a good Western, but it's gotta actually be, well, good. There's a lot of shoot 'em up lawful good versus evil plots out there, and they're a bore. So I'm a bit picky when it comes to the genre, but a good game is a good game, whether it takes place in the Wild West, Hyrule, or Skyrim. And Red Dead Redemption 2 does a good job of keeping up with other open world wonders like Skyrim, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and even Rockstar's own GTA series. Now, not all of Red Dead's mechanics measure up. There are times when the game feels frustratingly on the rails, like whenever you fail a mission for deviating slightly from its prescribed path. But even though it sometimes feels a little more closed than we'd like, there's still a lot to be said for how Red Dead builds on existing mechanics in open world games. If you want some great analysis of what doesn't work in Red Dead, check out Nakey Jakey's video. I thought it was amazing, and you might like it too. But this video is for Red Dead apologists, like me. Even though Dutch forced me to do all sorts of dumb, poorly conceived shit, I still kept coming back for more. Keeping it real. While most open world games primarily focus on exploration and knocking out missions one by one, Red Dead Redemption 2 is kind of like an open world game mixed with a strategy game. It's couched with an incredible cinematic experience and drawing a little bit of that character direction and customization that made the Sims game so darn popular. Now, how could it be that Rockstar, a studio that celebrates crime sprees and drug benders, took a cue from the family-friendly Sims series? Well, beyond the fact that playing God is entertaining and addictive, there's something to be said about the fact that your character's appearance and activities affect the trajectory of the game. To be fair, Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't the first game to leverage this dynamic, but it does so in a way that feels incredibly realistic. For instance, it had been a while since I'd cleaned up, and when I wandered into the sheriff's office, the officers there made sure to comment on how bad I smelled. But the scene tied my stench to the fact that they wouldn't expect a bounty hunter to be squeaky clean. Touché, my friends. Would they have treated me any differently based on what I was wearing? My facial hair, my haircut, and of course, my cleanliness? Fortunately, the replay value of this game is so high, I'm willing to do another go-round just to answer this question. Since all your in-game actions have consequences, I personally strive to always make ethical decisions. But that didn't stop me from collecting a bounty payment from a grave robber. What they don't know won't hurt them. The devil's in the details. There is a huge emphasis on detail in this game. You know a group of passionate game designers spent hours debating tiny things like which font would be the most realistic on a wanted poster. This means there's so much to discover. It's painful to play games where grinding feels obligatory, not immersive. So Red Dead Redemption 2 is refreshing in its approach. If you wanted to power through the story mode without exploring the side elements that give the game a deeper feel, you absolutely can. But it's far more satisfying to take your time to explore the world and truly become a part of it. For example, in the game, I recently watched a vaudeville show. Now, I'm the type of person who can't even be bothered to sit through a 30-second TV commercial. I don't have the patience, but I was shocked after I spent 10 minutes of my life watching and enjoying a fake performance in a fake world in this fake video game on my TV screen. In most open world games, we're conditioned to want some type of game-related reward, a level up, a new power, anything. Sometimes we forget that the gameplay experience is the reward in and of itself. The whole wide world. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a visual masterpiece with very realistic terrains. The game even masters things that are hard to develop into cohesive gameplay dynamics, like tracking and hunting beasts through the wilderness. There are a lot of control options, but it all pays off when you realize these things all make your character thrive. Many of the most popular open world games exist in fantasy lands, where you can get around with stuff like flight or teleportation. But Rockstar crafted an experience similar to what might actually happen in the confines of the real world. You can't jump too high, you can't work your horse too hard, and you can't tumble off a cliff without dying. And if you want to get from place to place, you'd better strap in for a long ride on horseback. The passage of time in this game isn't simply symbolic. The characters, settings, and backgrounds evolve with the game. Towns build more buildings to accommodate more travelers, and loggers have to cut down more forests to supply wood for these buildings. While Red Dead Redemption 2 evolves open world games, the game's open world itself also evolves day by day. Immersive cinematography and animation. I'm notorious for skipping video game cutscenes, I'm sorry. As someone who mostly grew up in the PlayStation-verse, I sought non-stop action. Cinematic games always seemed bloated and drawn out. So opening credits to shows? Skip. Instructions for IKEA furniture? Skip. The iTunes terms and conditions, skip, agree, whatever. So a cutscene-heavy game has to be very engaging to keep me interested. Most of the time, I'm just not invested enough in the story to care about a conversation between person I don't care about and other person I don't care about, you know? But this game takes story, including cinematography and animation elements, very seriously. What in most games would feel like long, dialogue-heavy cutscenes are actually structured in a way that seamlessly transitions between gameplay and scenic exposition. So seamlessly, in fact, that I've sometimes briefly looked away from the cutscene and immediately crashed my horse into a tree. I didn't realize that the game had already transitioned back into gameplay mode. Additionally, Red Dead Redemption 2 has animations for everything, and I do mean everything. While some people prefer privacy when they bathe, Arthur Morgan wants to make sure you know you can tap a button so he scrubs his head. Based on the animations alone, I kind of know what it would be like to skin a rabbit in real life, although I hope I would never have to do that. In fact, NPCs' mouths and facial expressions are animated, even when you don't speak to them and when you're not on a mission. All these things definitely cause the game to take longer to progress, but that's the point. It's not a race to the end, it's a journey to discover and enjoy everything you can about the world. Isn't that beautiful? Experimental game design elements. The game's complex gameplay aspects lead to a more cohesive experience. Because there are so many options, you often instinctively know what to do in certain scenarios. Don't stand too close to that sketchy drunk guy because he might try to rob you, or just puke on your shoes. Don't randomly pull out your gun in a crowded area. If you need to catch a criminal, but the sheriff wants them alive, use a lasso instead of a gun. Even small details can make a huge difference in the outcome of any given mission. Covering your face with your bandana conceals your identity. If you want to commit a crime, but don't want the town crawling with cops trying to find you, you'd better give yourself a makeover. Of course, if you're running around town with a bandana covering your face, you're bound to evoke suspicion from the townspeople before breaking any laws. And true to Rockstar form, some of the details are simply entertainment for entertainment's sake. During one mission in particular, I greeted a group of bandits with a friendly hello, because like I said, I'm moral and I'm good. They weren't feeling too social because they all ganged up on me and started putting slugs in my torso. I didn't know what to do other than just shoot them, but I died several times. But eventually, instead of offering a kind greeting, I used the other option, antagonize, to approach them. For a gang of outlaws, that choice secured their respect and they allowed me to pass, without me having to kill them, that is. Taking it personally. As highly detail-oriented as this game can be, it's going to be damn near impossible to get everything right on the first go-around. That's because all of these minor bits matter. Did you decide to save that person outside the ranch, or did you pass by them so you could get to the town before the merchant closed? Well, if you don't engage in a do-gooder mission here and there, you may not gain enough honor to command enough respect from your crew. You'll need them on board to help you do your not-so-noble business. It's a software engineering feat that this game isn't completely full of bugs. The game invokes decision trees. An example, does your character choose to say hello or give someone the stink eye? As well as conditionals, like when the sheriff I chose to visit commented that I smelled bad. It seemed to reinforce my degenerate status. Had I taken a bath that week, I doubt the sheriff would have been so vocal about my stench. At camp, I explained to someone I was ashamed that I'd hunted innocent animals for fun. A reference, I'm sure, to the time I accidentally shot a wild horse thinking it was a deer. Pro tip, guys, just use your binoculars. Think about the complexity that went into that piece of dialogue. I'd managed to cultivate enough honor to then feel ashamed of that action, which the game both recognized and inserted into the game later. NPCs are people too. There's an ever-present feeling that you're not just playing one character, even though for the most part you are. You are the representation of an entire crew, each with competing personalities and ideas, as well as strained relationships between one another. You're the woman who'd rather be cutting up humans than game meat, and at the same time you're the man who only joined the crew because he needed protection. You're an amalgamation of everyone's problems, challenges, and morale as they adjust to life on the lam. Rarely is there exposition for exposition's sake. The game authors will tie an important plot point into something as basic as a fishing trip. There are plenty of missions that allow you to engage with NPCs just for the hell of it. You'll have a lot of fun getting to know some crazy characters, like the ringleader of the world's saddest circus act, and the woman who will try to sweet-talk you long enough for you to forget that she's killed a husband or two. But NPCs have set schedules and may not wait around for you. For instance, if you try to visit the merchant in the middle of the night, you'll need to spend the night at the hotel until he opens up shop. In a lot of open world games, the NPCs will hang out in the same spot, just waiting for you to come talk to them. Not in this game. Maintaining your composure. By all accounts, living your characters' lives sounds more like a chore than a game. Between the bathing and the feeding, it's a lot like having a pet. You accept that in exchange for the entertainment or companionship. You're going to have to clean a stain out of the rug once in a while. Some people are so into their pets that they dress up Fido for a good photo op. I know dogs with more Instagram followers than me, and I'm funny online. In Red Dead Redemption 2, acts of maintenance are a part of the journey. A clean, healthy, well-kept character elicits the type of pride usually reserved for successfully putting together a piece of IKEA furniture, without instructions, I might add. And just like how that cheap bookshelf will give you at least a couple years of top-notch book holding, taking care of your character has positive effects too. Maintenance activities have consequences. A worn-out, poorly maintained gun isn't going to shoot as well as a clean one. If you're wearing your light summer gear, you're gonna freeze once you hit the mountains. Your horse is going to die if you don't feed it. And people are going to avoid you if you look like a regular old scumbag Sam. Mission impossible to 100%. Red Dead 2 feels damn near impossible to 100% without checking 100 different playthroughs to figure out where that one herb you can't seem to find grows. Kudos to the diehard completionists out there that have already achieved the impossible, because it ain't me. Because of the vast landscape, there's a lot of wandering around in Red Dead 2, but it's active and invested wandering, and it feels endless. I've rescued people from wildcats, had skirmishes with rough and tumble criminals, and even prevented a kidnapping. Usually you'll encounter side missions while working on some other objective and will feel guilty if you don't stop and respond to the good old, "Hey mister, can you help me out?" While side missions can impact your character or your finances, nothing outside the main storyline is obligatory. Casuals can complete missions, moving on to the next stage with a simple pass or fail, while more expert players can go for time-based completions or headshot counts. Red Dead Redemption 2 proves there's still so much possibility for innovation in the open world format. Like the Wild West itself, there are no bounds. And we can only expect other game makers to take a look at what Rockstar is doing right now to build even more robust games in the future. I'm Sydney with The Leaderboard. If you like this video, then feel free to subscribe for more videos. And if you still don't want to play Red Dead for yourself, then head over to our timeline about the Red Dead Redemption series to get caught up on the story. See you next time, partner.